Hello, summer science students. It's the fifth lesson, the last lesson of week 3, and that means that we have 6 lessons left until we can have our little summer vacation in August. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, just a reminder, these quizzes in yellow should be done by now. These are just the quizzes from week 3. So remember, we have 2 quizzes per day, 5 days in a week, in a school week, so 10 quizzes per week. So just make sure you're keeping up with that because next week's your last week, and I don't want you to be rushing through all the quizzes. Okay, so before I see you on Monday, our very last Monday together, I need you to read the skeletal system to the muscular system on grad point and take the 2 quizzes associated with it. Okay, so how do we get to today's lesson? Well, we're still in Unit 2. It's our last day in Unit 2. And so you'll get this screen when you click on Unit 2 and go all the way to the very bottom. Folder 6, Bones, Muscles, and Skin. And this will pop up and we're doing the whole thing today. Our first chapter is about the skeletal system. So the skeletal system is an organ system that lets the body move, so that's kind of obvious, but also it helps the body stand upright, it protects your internal or inside organs, and it produces blood cells. So the skeletal system does all of that. So it's way more than just letting us stand upright and helping us move. So the skeletal system is composed of bones, obviously, ligaments, tendons, and cartilage. The inside of a bone, if I was to cut it open, is called marrow. Sometimes people like to eat bone marrow. Maybe you've had a dish that has bone marrow, but what the marrow does is it actually produces blood cells. So that's where we get our blood cells from, the inside of our bones. And a ligament is a tough piece of tissue that connects bones together or holds a joint together. So an example of bones that are held together by a ligament is the upper and lower leg. They are held together with a ligament. So if we look at the picture, a ligament is like a really tough kind of tissue, almost like a really thick rubber band. It's in orange in that picture. It's labeled, and that will help keep our bones together. And an adult skeleton has 206 bones. So that's some trivia if you're ever in Jeopardy in the future game night. Maybe you can win. The adult skeleton has 206 bones. Bones of the skeletal system are held together by joints. So a joint is just where 2 separate bones will meet. And joints are important because they allow the movement of bones. So you've got lots of different joints in your body, all over your body. Some are big joints, some are small joints. I'm going to go through 3 joints. Now, there's more than 3 joints, but these are just the joints that we're learning about in this lesson. So the first one is the pivot joint, and that allows side-to-side movement, for example, your neck. So you can move your neck left, right. You can't go in a full circle unless you're in the movie The Exorcist. I think maybe you guys are too young to get that. But for humans, we can only turn our head side to side because our neck has a pivot joint. All right, ball and socket joint, that is located in the hip and shoulder, and that allows 360 degrees or a full circle rotation, and that gives us the greatest range of motion. And we have a gliding joint, which is just what it sounds like. It allows bones to glide over each other. And an example of this, of where to find this joint, is in the wrists and the ankles, where you have lots of those like little bones. Okay, stop, pause, because we are done with the skeletal system. So like I always say, rewind the video, just watch that one more time, and then maybe even play it while you take your quiz. And please finish up that quiz before moving forward. Okay, moving on to the second chapter, which is the muscular system. The muscular system is an organ system that contains all of the muscles in your body and helps movement. Okay. Now, you might just think of like muscles that you work out at the gym, but there's actually 3 types of muscles in the body, and the muscles that you're thinking of are the skeletal muscles, but there's two other kinds that we might not think about. First of all, there's the cardiac muscle. Okay, cardiac, I always think of heart. Cardiac means heart in science. And that is an involuntary muscle. So that means we can't control that muscle. It does it without us thinking about it, which is great because that muscle helps pump our heart and we don't want to think about that. We need that to happen all the time. So this type of muscle is only found in the heart. Um, so that's why it's called cardiac muscle. Now we have the muscles that you probably always think about, which are the skeletal muscles. And these are voluntary muscles, which means you can control. So, like, you decide when to move your legs, you decide when to move your arms, your fingers. These are all skeletal muscles. And the location is next to bones. In the next slide, we're going to learn why they have to be next to bones. And finally, there's a smooth muscle. This is involuntary, so you can't control it. And a good example of this is in the digestive system. Remember, our stomach is actually a muscle and it will squeeze our food to help digest it. And you don't have to think about that. That just happens because it's involuntary. Let's talk more about skeletal muscles. So the muscular system will work with the skeletal system to produce or make movement in the body. So bones cannot move without muscle. However, a muscle can only move in one direction. It either will push a bone or pull it. So skeletal muscles have to work in pairs or two muscles to move just one bone. So you gotta have two muscles if you want to move just one bone in your body. Muscles always work in pairs. So in a muscle pair, one muscle will contract or get shorter, and one muscle will relax, get longer. And this will move the bone because essentially with this contraction and relaxation, you've got one muscle pulling, one muscle pushing, and that's going to help move the bone. A strong muscle will be thick, example, calf muscle. So athletes that use their calf muscles a lot usually have really defined calf muscles, especially if you are like a bike rider, then you have really strong calf muscles. And they kind of like stick out a little bit from your body, and that's because they're thick. And again, the muscular system, the skeletal muscles are muscles that you can control. So in order for you to control it, you got to have a connection between your muscular system and your nervous system, the brain and the nerves. And you do. And signals from the nervous system cause contractions in the skeletal muscles that help you move your bones. Again, skeletal muscle is voluntary, meaning that you can control whether you move it or not. Okay, guys, so that's it for our second chapter, the muscular system. Rewind, watch it one or two more times, and then please take the muscular system quiz. And when you're done with both quizzes and you've passed, so you've got above a 60, you're done for the day, and enjoy the weekend.